Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Cool. Okay, my name is Julie LeBam. I am with Blackburn Center in Greensburg. How many of you have heard of Blackburn Center before? Okay, a few of you. Will go a little more into depth in just a minute. So before we get started, I'm sure you guys have already read it, but on the screen there is our hotline number. So throughout this presentation, we are going to talk about domestic violence, sexual assault, sexual misconduct of different types. So if you guys need to, please utilize the hotline or come and see us after the presentation. We are going to be sticking around for a few minutes if anyone needs support or needs to talk or anything like that. There we go. Okay, so if you guys can try to get out your phones, this did not work for our morning session, but we're going to try it out now. And go to menti, menti.com, and enter in that code. MENTI, and enter in the code on the screen. And the code, for those of you who might not see it, is 80409381. Now, once you guys get on, we just want you to answer this icebreaker question on the screen. What is one thing you are most looking forward to as you begin your college experience at Pitt-Greensburg? guys. We're going to see if we can pull it up by the end of the presentation, but for now we're just going to keep moving forward.
Okay, sorry about that. So my name is Marianne Coloni, and I serve as the Title IX liaison for Pitt-Greensburg campus. So you may be sitting there saying, what is Title IX? Like, what is it? So here we have a slide here, and it's the federal civil rights law, and it's an educational amendment, and it was actually from 1972. And it protects people from discrimination based on sex and education programs or activities that receive federal financial assistance. So for Pitt-Greensburg, because we receive federal financial assistance, that it makes us part of and responsible for adhering to Title IX. Okay. The bottom part in white is verbiage directly from the law. No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Okay? So what we're going to talk about today are the different resources available to you under Title IX. Okay?
Okay, so for those of you who raise their hands so that they're familiar with Blackburn Center, does anyone or can anyone name any of the services that we have? Okay, so I'm just going to briefly go through some of the services we have. We have the hotline and the shelter, which is what we are best known for. Hotline is 24/7. You can always call the hotline. It's the number that was up there. If you can call it anonymously, you don't have to tell us your name. You don't have to identify yourself in any kind of way. And it's also confidential, and all of our services are free. We also have the shelter, though that's for people who are victims of intimate partner violence and their children. So if for some reason, you know someone who is in a relationship that's abusive, but they can't leave because maybe they can't afford to leave, then the shelter could potentially be an option for them. We also meet people at the hospital, and we also meet people here. So if something's going on and you guys want to have a Blackburn advocate come to campus and meet with you, maybe you don't have transportation, maybe it's more convenient between classes, for whatever reason, we will come to campus and be able to help you guys. The other thing that I briefly want to go through is the different types of abuse. So when you guys think of domestic violence, what kind of abuse comes to mind? Because there are a lot of different types. Go ahead and just yell it out. Everyone has on masks. No one can tell who's talking except, well, the person next to you, I guess. That was a lot at once. I heard physical, sexual, verbal, emotional. Yep, physical. There's also financial. So when we think about all those different types, that means that there's a lot of different red flags. When we usually think about domestic violence or bring up domestic violence, usually the first thing I hear is physical. People think of the picture of, someone with a black eye or bruises or something like that. And that's definitely a type. But usually it's one of the other types that happens first before the physical comes. So it's important to know the warning signs of the different types too. That way maybe, someone can receive help or support leaving that relationship or being safer in that relationship before it reaches that point of being physical. A couple of things to note when we talk about red flags. One of the really big ones is isolation. So on college campus, clubs, organization, making friends, getting involved, that's a lot of what you guys had said in the beginning about things that you were excited about and things that you absolutely should be excited about. If you notice that you have a really outgoing friend, someone who, loves to go to all of the meetings and constantly shows up to class, and then all of a sudden you're not seeing them as much, that could potentially be a red flag. If you notice that someone's behavior changes when their partner walks into the room, or if you ask someone a question and their partner answers for them, if you have a significant other that's making you delete phone numbers from your phone or breaking your phone so you can't communicate with other people, all really big red flags. Sometimes it is more subtle. Sometimes, if every Wednesday you go to lunch with your friends and this has been something that you've done for forever, and then your partner's saying, well, I don't really like how those people treat you, or they don't seem to like me, or I was hoping we could go to lunch, and all of a sudden you're not seeing your friends as much, that could easily be isolation, control, trying to get you away from those friends and family and your support system. So what you can do, if you call the hotline, one of the first things we're going to talk about is safety. If someone does disclose to you that they're in an unhealthy or unsafe relationship, or maybe you're noticing some signs and you want to talk to them about it, one of the things that we'll talk about is safety. How to make you safer in the relationship. What can I do to make you feel more safe? If someone discloses to you that, things aren't going well, or they're not, enjoying their time with their partner anymore, something like that, simply saying thank you for trusting me, thank you for telling me, and I believe you. Those things go really, really far just for someone to feel supported in their relationship and for someone to feel like they have a support system to lean on if they do decide to leave the relationship. And then in terms of resources, so that is a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. There are confidential resources, and then there are also people on campus who are considered responsible employees. So we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between those. But just know that what someone decides to do in terms of seeking out resources or seeking out support, they're the expert in their own situations. You guys are the expert on your own lives, so there's not a right or a wrong decision as we go through these different resources and options people might have.
So under Title IX, we have different definitions of types of employees, types of individuals. So we have a confidential employee, and a confidential employee is someone who does not have a duty to report. So you can go talk to that confidential employee, that confidential resource, and they're not going to call and pick up the phone and call me or call anyone else, talk to anyone about what you're talking to them about. Okay, so they're confidential. On the other hand, we have responsible employees, and that's basically everybody else. So if they're not a confidential employee, then they're a responsible employee, and they have a duty to report. Okay? Examples include our faculty, staff, and our student leaders. Okay? So they have a duty to report and contact me, and then I'll talk a little later about what my resources are that I provide to you. So again, we have two types, confidential resources. Our counseling center and our nurse Pam, is a confidential resource. You can go talk to them. We have turned them into Pat Vegas, so what happens in their office stays in their office. They're not going to contact me or anyone else that's up here. And then responsible employee, again, they're the ones that have a duty to report any type of misconduct. So we talked about confidential. The individuals who are responsible employees for private. Okay? The difference is the private individuals are not going to go out and tell everybody, but they're going to provide the information on a need-to-know basis. Okay? Versus confidential, they are designated as confidential, and they're not going to let anybody know. And they're going to keep it to themselves. Unless, of course, someone's going to hurt themselves, or there's, very limited situations where they need to report that situation. Okay? Again, our confidential resources on our campus are counseling center and our nurse. Okay, any questions on that? So our Title IX resources. First one is our community assistance, peer leaders, and user mentors.
Hello, everybody. Before I get started, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Kyle Harper. I'm a senior this year. I'm the lead CA. I'm located in Saline House. I'm also the president of 3 clubs that we Iota Sigma, the Freshman Honor Society, the Academic Village Senate, and Pitt Fight Club. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the process. So student leaders, that includes community assistants, you'll hear CAs a lot, that's what we call it. Peer leaders, leader mentors, and even some officers in certain clubs are what are considered responsible employees. So if you come to us with something about sexual misconduct or domestic violence, it is our duty to report it. Now, one thing we don't want to do as student leaders is make that a surprise to you guys. So that's why I'm telling you guys now. When you guys have your hall meetings or your meetings with the peer leaders or your mentors, we'll go over that again. The student leader will kind of explain the role in that. And if you guys come to us with a certain situation, if we even have an inkling that it's going to go in that route, we'll stop again and kind of explain that, just so you know. Because not everybody's comfortable talking about that with us. So a situation would arise, and you would be comfortable telling us, and you would have to report it. What I learned as a CA, and I thought it was very good information, is it goes up and out. So, with that report, I would have to tell Marianne over Title 9. The housing supervisor, Short Roster, Brian Brady, might end up having to know because it might involve building change, depending if it's on campus or not. But other CAs aren't going to find out about it. We're not going to go out and tell other students. That's not our role. Our ultimate goal is to keep the people involved safe.
Can I interrupt for a second, Kyle? So isn't it true though that Marianne said it's the need to know? So you would have to somehow, you have someone in life that a report was made, but they wouldn't need to know to do something about it.
Correct, yes. Additionally, sometimes when we tell the mandated report information, not everybody's comfortable talking about that, and that's okay. So what we would do in that situation is we can point you in the direction of the resources. So we can point you to counseling or Nurse Pam, and we can get you in contact with the Blackburn Center. And that could be in a manner of different ways. It could just be as easy as helping you write an email towards it, or if the person didn't feel safe in that situation, we could walk right down to them and schedule an appointment. So just some advice on that. Don't be afraid to talk to us. I feel like there's kind of a stigma that we're looking to get people into trouble, and that's not the case. We're all a community here, and it's important that we all have each other's back. So we're here to help and keep everybody safe. Does anybody have any questions? No? All right, Adam is next. So.
Hello, I'm Dr. Bill Pomerleau. I teach philosophy here, and as a part of your general education requirements, you have to take a philosophy course at some point. So if you're not taking one this semester, which I would not taking one for me this semester because my classes usually fill up in the spring before you have a chance to register, but maybe next semester. I'll see you there. But I'm representing the faculty, and actually, before I start, it occurs to me that you may not really know the difference between faculty and staff. You're going to hear the reference a lot. How many of you know the differences between faculty and staff? So just a couple of people, all right. And you're going to hear this throughout the college. So faculty are your teachers, basically. Faculty are the instructors in the classroom. And staff is basically everybody else who works for the campus. So administrators are staff, counseling center there's a staff, maintenance is staff, right? So lots of staff in the room here. I'm the only faculty member, I believe, in the room here. So I wanted to just let you know what you should expect if you come to a faculty member. Now, we're all different. We all have different personalities. But in general, if you have an issue because you're dealing with something involving sexual misconduct, you miss a homework assignment or an exam, right? And you want to come to your professor and explain what's happening. First, we're going to try to help you out as much as possible, right? We're there to teach you, obviously, but we also want to point you to the resources that will help you. We're usually pretty accommodating. If you've got difficulties, we can adjust things. I guess the issue is, if you do tell us about an incident of sexual misconduct, just like with Kyle, we have a duty to report. I will have to call or send an email to Marianne Coloni here. You can also just avoid giving me any kind of details and say, I've just got a personal issue, can I retake this test or something, if you don't want to have us report. So just again, be aware that we're not confidential, we're responsible employees, so we're there to help you, but we do have to do the report if you disclose. Any questions about what to expect from your teachers or the procedures there? Okay.
Good afternoon. I am Officer Kelly Worrell, and I am with the University of Pittsburgh Police Department on campus. Our station is located in between Chambers Hall and Smith Hall. You might have walked past it at some point in the last couple of days. We are 24/7, 365. So if you find yourself at 2 a.m. on a Saturday needing something, call us or stop down. There's always somebody on this campus to help you. We are responsible employees, but we are not confidential. So what that means is I will listen to what you have to say, but I am obligated to communicate that information with Marianne, who's our Title IX. I will not disseminate the information to anybody who does not need to know. I'm not going to go gossiping, blabbing your info. So it's strictly a need-to-know basis. When you come to me, what you can expect is I will provide you with resources. I will provide you with names, phone numbers, offices. I'll walk you wherever you need to go if you need an escort. If you want a criminal investigation done, I'm it. So with our department, you can think of us like townships, boroughs, city departments. We are all police officers. We are all certified in the state of Pennsylvania. We have all powers of arrest and filing citations. So if you do want a criminal investigation, I will start that. I will conclude that. I will file charges at the magistrate's office if necessary, or take the proper steps to introduce you to the DA's office if it goes that far. If at any point in time you decide, I don't want any more investigation, I've changed my mind, I don't want any part of this, I will have you sign a refusal to prosecute form, and I will close the case. So it is strictly driven by you, what you want done. We had a question last session about if I'm a student, but the crime was perpetrated by somebody who's not a student, what can you do? We will do the investigation. We will file charges if necessary. So my first priority regarding all of you is your safety. It is your well-being. So mental health, physical safety, whatever you need, that's number one. And an investigation will come after I get you taken care of. Charges can be filed later. It doesn't have to be immediate. I need to get you taken care of. So that's number one for me. Are there any questions? No. Anything I missed? Second thing I want to talk about is our Rave Guardian app. So if you go onto your app store, wherever you get them, look for the blue shield with the little white squares in it, Rave Guardian. This is free to download. It is a campus safety tool for you. The tiles might look a little different because I think they did an update. I don't think they're colored anymore, but don't let that deter you. It is the same app. So with this, you have one-touch dialing. If you need campus police, you touch that tile, it calls campus police. If you need 911, if you're off campus and you need 911, touch that tile. The difference between them is you dial 911 in extreme emergencies, life-threatening situations. Anything you dial at home is what you dial 911 for, but you can also dial us. So if you dial 911, it will go to county radio. County radio then dispatches us. So it's essentially a middleman if you dial 911. If you call campus police directly for emergencies or non-emergencies, we dispatch ourselves. Cuts out the middleman, I'll get there within a minute or two, and we'll be good to go. This also has an anonymous reporting system. If you cannot talk, or if you don't want to talk, if you don't want to tell us who you are, but you need to report something, a crime, an assault, anything, you can do it anonymously through this app. It's an anonymous clicky button, and then you select the crime. You can type a quick text, and it goes actually to Oakland. Oakland will then contact us and tell us what's going on. It has a phone directory, which is awesome. It has phone numbers for myself, for Blackburn Center, for Counseling Center. All the essential numbers are in there, one touch, and you don't even have to bother searching for them. And then the last tile is going to be a safety timer. So that's going to be the yellow tile. If you're walking across campus, if you're walking in Greensburg, and you say, hey mom, I'm going to be at my car in 10 minutes. Watch me walk. It'll send her a link. She can then track your movement. And if you don't check in, she at least has a point of reference to say, hey, this is the last place my kid's phone pinged, and I need a welfare check. So we can absolutely make that happen. It's an excellent resource. It's free. Please download it. Any questions?
So as I said, my name is Marianne Coloni, and I serve as the Title IX liaison for Pitt-Greensburg. So my main focus for you all is to provide you resources and let you know what your options are. Okay? Similar to the police, you drive the process. So let's say that somebody reports something, and I get a report that this incident occurred. I'm going to reach out to the complainant, the individual who was subjected to the discrimination or incident or what have you. And I'm going to provide resources in the form of a letter, and I'm going to request to meet with you. At that point, I want to meet with you to make sure that you're okay, to make sure that you don't need any additional resources. I might refer them to the counseling center. I might, we'll talk about any course issues, class issues, and we'll do all of that, in a face-to-face or over the phone or over Zoom. All those kinds of things. My office is located in Lynch Hall, which is the Tudor house, kind of on the other side of that bridge, on the other side of the creek. So I'm accessible by email, by phone, or in person. You can always come in to ask questions if you're not sure. You can even give a hypothetical. So, we're here for you, and we want to be able to provide as much information and resources to you. Okay, any questions on that? Once I get a report, if you say, you know what, I don't want anything done, then I won't do anything. Again, you drive the process. Okay? If you decide partway through that you want to stop, then we'll stop. Okay? We'll stop the process. All right? That process being doing a more formal investigation, looking into the incident, and so on, having hearings, and so on, okay? But again, you drive the process. So our goal is to provide you options and make sure you have the resources available to you. Okay, any questions?
Hello, my name is Gail Pomerleau. My last name is Dr. Pomerleau. And I am the director of the Counseling Center here at Pitt-Greensburg. And today I am talking to you on behalf of all of the confidential resources for this campus. So what I'm about to say goes for myself, my staff, and Nurse Pam in the health center. So how many of you know where student services is on this campus? So upstairs, really above the bookstore, right? Upstairs in Chambers Hall in that student services hallway. When you come into that hallway, the very first door on your right is the counseling office for our 2 part-time counselors, Nina Waters and our graduate intern, Madison. And then as you come around that corner, the very first door on the left is the health center, and the door right after it is my office, the main office of the counseling center. So we're all pretty much together, even though we have different rooms and different, it's health center and counseling center, it's not all one together, but we are all geographically close. And we are the confidential resources. So we are the place, as Marianne alluded, we are like Vegas, right? What happens in those offices stays in those offices. We do not have to report to Title IX. We do not have to report to anyone. The only time that we share information without your permission is if we're worried about your safety. And that is very rarely, it has to be an imminent threat to your safety. So that is very rarely about Title IX issues. It's more about self-harm and suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. So, and that's a pretty rare occurrence. So, in general, you don't have to disclose anything without your permission. And we only get your permission if you want us to advocate for you. So sometimes students will sign a release of information form for us to be able to explain why you weren't able to be in class, or to explain something that's going on with your family. But in general, again, you can think of us as Vegas or the vault. So whatever you bring to us, we don't disclose it without your permission. We don't disclose it to anybody. We certainly don't disclose it to Title IX. At some point, if you stay in counseling and we're working on those issues, we may encourage you to think about reporting on your own to Title IX, but we're not going to do it without your permission. Does that make sense? The other thing, sort of aside, that I want to touch on is whatever you may think about the myths that you hear or the stereotypes that you hear about sexual assault and dating violence and sexual misconduct. Please know that when we talk about this stuff, victims can be male or female or non-binary, and violent and unhealthy relationships can happen in straight relationships and in gay relationships. The stereotypes are only stereotypes, right? So please know that when we're talking about advocating and supporting victims, we're talking about all victims, not just women. Any questions about that? Other thing you should know is if you want to make an appointment at the counseling center, you can always walk in, you can call, but the best way to make an appointment at the counseling center is to send an email to gbgcounseling@pitt.edu. So it's gbg, short for Greensburg, counseling@pitt.edu. And that's just for making an appointment. It's sharing personal content. It's just for scheduling appointments, and because lots of people see that email and it's the most efficient way to get you scheduled. So please, if you're thinking that you have anything that you want to say to the counseling center, please come and see us before things get so bad that it starts to affect your grades.
All right, so I already mentioned that Blackburn Center is confidential. One of the services I did not mention earlier is counseling and therapy. We do have counseling and therapy at Blackburn Center. We are also offering telehealth right now. You have confidential resources here, including counseling. It's really just up to you guys and what you feel more comfortable with in terms of if you choose to go off campus or if you choose to stay on campus. It just is available. Again, it is free. It is confidential, and you guys, like all the other services, you guys drive that process. If you want to meet once a week, every other week, if you meet with a counselor and you're like, yeah, no, they're not my kind of person, I don't want to talk to them, that's fine. No hurt feelings. We can try having you meet with someone else, or if you end up wanting to switch or end up not wanting it, that's totally up to you. There's absolutely no obligation. The other thing that I want to say just one more time is our hotline is 24/7, and you can remain anonymous. If you are concerned about yourself and your relationship, friend, roommate, classmate, teammate, anyone, please call us. You don't have to give your information. You don't have to give their information. We will just talk to you for a few minutes about the situation, talk to you about safety, talk to you about potential next steps, and refer you guys to some resources, including some of our services as well. Any questions? Otherwise, we're going to move on to Nope. Okay, so I just wanted to mention the university implemented a new
reporting mechanism called the Pitt Concern Connection. And basically, if you want to report a Title IX incident, you can do it through this Pitt Concern Connection. It'll ultimately work its way back to me, but this is a university-wide reporting system, okay? It's utilized for financial concerns, safety and health, a whole bunch of different reporting options. So they took all of the different offices that have different reporting forms and put it into one, into the Pitt Concern Connection. I'll give you an example. So if you, let's say your roommate is in a abusive relationship and you're really concerned, but you don't want to come forward through us, you could just submit it through here anonymously, and then we would, try to reach out to that individual and say that we've received a report. We're not going to say who it is, and you could actually have it reported through this Pitt Concern Connection. Okay. The address is www.compliance.pitt.edu, and then there's a link on there for making a report. Okay. We also have this link on our website as well. But again, this is a newer feature that the university has implemented.
So now we are going to just have a couple of scenarios to kind of have you guys talk amongst yourselves and come up with responses to these questions to kind of practice how to make use of the resources that we've just described to you. So scenario number one, you've been hanging out a little bit over the summer with someone you went to high school with. You told them you just want to take things easy, especially since you are starting college. They told you they were hurt when you told them this. The next morning you found out they had shared some of your pictures with mutual friends and then posted them online. The questions are, what resources could you reach out to for help, and what could you expect from those resources? So just take a couple minutes and talk with the people sitting around you, and then we'll ask for your feedback.
Yeah. That's fun.
So in that situation, in scenario number one, what are some resources that you could utilize? I heard someone say the hotline and someone say Nurse Pam. So yes, Blackburn's hotline, we would be able to talk about different resources, be able to process through like you know, they just went through a breakup or, you know, spend a lot of time with someone, so they might have other things that they want to talk about. And then yes, Nurse Pam, being able to talk to her, especially if you want a confidential resource. Anyone else? We have lots of resources on stage. Credit given.
All right, so if somebody were to call me with this situation, I'd be more than happy to help you with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is offer you some different options. You've got resources that I can give you the numbers for, the locations for. This is definitely a criminal matter, right? Somebody's sharing personal photos, maybe intimate photos or videos or something. So this is definitely criminal investigation material. And also, since it happened over the summer, my jurisdiction, our department's jurisdiction is the Pitt campus. And then it extends a little bit beyond our campus, so like Mount Pleasant Road, the woods areas. If it happens off campus, I cannot do a criminal investigation, but what I can do is contact the police department who is responsible for wherever the crime occurred, and I will put you in touch with them, and they can do the investigation from there. If it is a non-student, I can still do the investigation if the crime happened here. That's not a problem. If it happens somewhere off campus between a student and a non-student, I will refer you to the local police department that can handle it. What other resources do we have that can maybe handle this? Just yell it out. Not all at once. Faculty, staff, all right.
So especially if this is bothering you and is interfering with your coursework and your grades might be kind of suffering because you're really worried about this, then yeah, we want to know that, right? So maybe we can alter the requirements of the course a little bit while you're dealing with this. Again, if you tell us the specifics, by the way, we'll have to tell Marianne Coloni about it, but we would also put you in touch with the same resources we've been talking about, right? We could suggest that you could get in touch with the police, or if it's reflecting you to seek counseling either through Gale or through the Blackburn Center. But, you know, you shouldn't wait and let your grades suffer. Let the faculty member know that something is going on. Even if you would rather just tell the counseling center what's going on, the counseling center will say, yes, they've got a legitimate concern. We'll work with you, right, so that you don't have to worry about your grades suffering in addition to whatever else is going on. Other resources. And the mic is about everyone. So, did I think? Holding the mic, I guess I'm reading it. One of your roommates is in a relationship with another student. They've been dating for a couple of months. Your roommate always has to check with their partner before they do anything with you or the rest of the roommates. And they are constantly responding to texts or messages from their partner. Your roommate has been looking stressed and upset after responding to their partner. So, what resources could you reach out to for help in this scenario? What resources could you suggest to your roommate? And what could you expect from these resources? So go ahead and talk with your neighbors for a couple of minutes and we'll see what you have to say.
This is regarding
I would say that
we're not saying
anyone that
that is not really
they have the hotline as well. I know some officers are in a that is, I wouldn't go into the parents.
So yeah,
That's what just arrested for that.
Okay, so based on what you just heard from us up here, what would you do? Who would you contact? What resources would you get in contact with for either yourself or your roommate? Counseling.
So yes, you can definitely come to the counseling center or the health center, or Blackburn for any of those confidential resources. We would offer support. We would listen to what's been going on. In this situation, and this happens a lot actually for the counseling center and the health center on campus. Roommates who are worried about somebody, a friend or another roommate, will come to us. We'll make an appointment and we'll have a conversation about what you're worried about, what's been going on, and what you can do. Both what you can do to support the person that you're concerned about and what you can say to encourage them to come see us for help themselves. Sometimes student leaders will help walk students over, right? And student leaders can come and do come when they're worried about residents as well, or students in cornerstone classes. So, you know, we can enlist the support of other student leaders to kind of encourage the person that you're worried about to come see us or to get some help somewhere. And, you know, you can certainly say, you know, like, this sounds like this isn't going so well, why don't you go find somebody to come to the center and get some help. Any other resources that you would reach out to or consider? Faculty, what was the other one? Police?
Yeah, so you can always reach out to our department with anything, whether there is a crime involved or not. At this point, this scenario doesn't seem to come to any type of a crime, doesn't rise to that level just yet. But if you do come to me, I will document the issue. That way, if you just say like, hey, I just need this documented just in case, that's no problem. I can document that. But what I'm ultimately going to suggest to you are the alternate resources like the counseling center, the Blackburn Center, to try to get your roommates some more help. Anybody else? Okay. Any final questions for any of us? Don't be afraid to shout out.
So, you know, one of the benefits of a small campus is that this is not some big, scary department full of a bunch of people you've never met before. You have now basically seen the faces of the people that you're going to come to if you need support. So please, you know, feel comfortable. We're here to help. So that's why we spent the last hour together in this conversation. So that pretty much finishes it. You guys are free to go. I think that's the end of the